I'm Elliott. I'm an environmental studies undergraduate. My passion's in wildlife conservation and photography. I've been photographing animals for about 4 years now. I like to use photography to help reach out to more people and tell them more about the biodiversity in Singapore and in Southeast Asia. Wildlife photography, it's very spontaneous and you never know what you're going to get. It really takes a lot of patience and also just pure luck to get a very nice shot. Sometimes when I'm out in the field, I would hear rumors of rare animal sightings that are quite intriguing. But one that really sticks out to me is that of the white crocodile. And I think there was something about it appearing every 20 years in the Kallang River. Every so often, someone would claim that they have seen it, but no one has ever captured it on camera. If I managed to photograph this crocodile, it would be a real breakthrough, and I think it would encourage other people to conserve and protect this species. I'm really interested in finding out about crocodiles in general. I mean, they're really powerful predators and very ancient also. They've been around since the time of the dinosaurs. But my main mission is to find out more about this white crocodile. I imagine it to be a majestic creature, wrapped in an armor of white scales. And as the rumor goes, it would emerge every 20 years from the murky depths of the Kallang River. But only the luckiest among us would catch a glimpse of it. And over time, it has taken on a life of its own in our imagination, as a legendary beast that reigns unseen in the waters. But is this white crocodile just a rumor, or are there actual records of it? Perhaps they are hidden somewhere here in the National Library.
This is a very good material for us to discuss Malay history and literature.
Dr. Effendi is an expert on local folklore. Maybe he knows something about this white crocodile. So I'm looking for a white crocodile that I've heard rumors about, but I'm not really sure where to start. Would you know anything about it?
Yes, we have a very important text that mentions a white crocodile. It's called Hang Tuah.
Dr. Effendi tells me that the legend of the white crocodile dates way back to the 17th century. An encounter with one was recorded in the Hikayat Hang Tuah. The word Hikayat means story in Malay, and as the title goes, this book charts the adventures of a real-life Malay hero named Hang Tuah.
This book we have here is a very good translation from Jawi to what we call as Romanized Malay. So we have here the only mention of white crocodile, buaya putih in the Strait of Singapore. Hai bendahara dan laksmana, mahkota kita jatuh dalam air ini.
Dr. Effendi says it all started when the King of Malacca was travelling across the Straits of Singapore. When he dropped his crown into the water, his loyal aide Hang Tuah dove in right away to retrieve the crown. But before he could return to safety, a white crocodile with blazing eyes appeared, and a big battle ensued. Hang Tuah survived, but alas, he lost the crown and his own dagger.
As you can see, so that's what happened in the Straits of Singapore.
That's very interesting. Could you show me roughly where this is located?
Well, what we have here is an old map done in the 19th century. Now, the Strait of Singapore is around this area here. It's a very ancient strait.
Yeah.
This is where ships pass through to get to the Middle East or India. So the King of Malacca traveled down with his entourage, then lost his crown somewhere in the Strait of Singapore.
I see.
And that somewhere around here, there lived a lot of crocodiles, and among them is the white crocodile.
Okay. All of this sounds intriguing, but how much of it was actually true? Was it based on a real white crocodile, or was it symbolic, like dragons in Chinese culture? What's so special about the white crocodile? Like, why did it become a legend?
Well, in general, crocodiles have long existed in Malay cultural traditions as an embodiment of evil spirits, as some an animal which has a lot of powers. It's one of the most feared animals in the rivers. With fear comes veneration, of course. Some sources talk about the white crocodile being very much special because of the color white. It symbolizes the color of blood of Malay royalty, white blood, darah putih.
And because the white crocodile is such a powerful symbol, Dr. Effendi says even till today, it thrives in our collective imagination. as an urban myth.
Only if the crocodile, killed a villager, then there will be an attempt of reprisals. But for the most part, they are left alone.
This actually is very interesting. So besides the Hikayat Hang Tuah, are there any other mentions of the white crocodile in any other ancient texts?
There are mentions of crocodiles in other Malay texts, but the Hikayat Hang Tuah is the only text I know of that mentions specifically of a white crocodile in the Strait of Singapore.
Okay. I think the biggest takeaway is that white crocodile was spotted in the Straits of Singapore. That's a huge body of water. I think what's interesting is that it has a mention in such an old text, but since it was from the 17th century, it can't be the one I'm looking for. Another interesting thing was crocodiles being feared as well as respected in Malay folklore. So they were basically left alone until they got dangerous, like let's say if they attacked humans. I still have no idea if the white crocodile that Hang Tuah fought is fact or fiction. But if it was real, one of its descendants could actually be the modern-day crocodile that is rumoured to appear every 20 years. And the Straits of Singapore in the south could be the best place to search for it. I know crocodiles love to hang out in mangroves, so I meet up with someone who manages the biggest one I know.
This is the Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve Resource Room.
Shu Fen has studied mangroves for over a decade. She might know if the Straits of Singapore is the right place to start looking. According to legend, the white crocodile was found in the Straits of Singapore. Would you know anything about it?
I'm not sure about the white crocodile, but I have a map that I could show you about the Straits of Singapore.
Yeah, that would be great.
And how it was like in the past.
Oh wow.
This map is like in the 1800s. So crocodiles are native to Singapore and their natural habitats will be mangrove. Singapore in the 1800s have large mangroves all around the island.
Shu Fen adds that these mangroves were found not only in the south around the Straits of Singapore, but also here in the north. And any one of these could be home to the white crocodile from the legend of Hang Tuah.
For example, in the northern straits, there's Changi, Punggol, and Sungai Buloh.
Right.
These natural rivers with large mangrove trees will consist of crocodiles, monitor lizards, a rich diversity of bird life.
Okay. And Shu Fen says, apart from animals, humans were also part of this diversity, living off the mangroves for food and building materials. So, could the modern-day white crocodile be found in one of these habitats?
Actually, most of the mangrove habitats along this coast over here are no longer there. Most of this area have been converted for urbanization. Originally, the land area will be 13% covered with mangrove areas, and today it's about less than 5%.
Shu Fen reveals that the destruction of these mangroves dates way back to the colonial era. People needed fuel and firewood, so they tore down these lush mangrove forests, hectare by hectare. Then, as Singapore marched into independence in 1965, these frail mangroves once again bore the brunt of progress, making way for freshwater reservoirs and fish farms. If the white crocodile was one of the animals living here, what could have happened to it?
I don't know, but for such a large animatic animal, if there were sightings in the past, perhaps there will be reports of it. That's probably a place where you could look further.
I think this meeting with Shu Fen was a bit disappointing. I didn't really get any conclusive evidence for the location of the white crocodile. She mentioned that in the past, Singapore had lots of mangroves, but unfortunately a lot of this land has been used for development. If the white crocodile was real, could it have been pushed further out to sea? Or maybe it went the other way, further upriver into the city. I'm looking at all these old maps of Singapore and there are tons of squiggly lines on it. These indicate rivers connected to many different parts of Singapore. And there are many places that this white crocodile could have travelled to. Could be moving to more urban areas like Geylang or Kallang. But a part of me also wonders, if a mangrove expert like Shu Fen has not seen this white crocodile, is there a chance that it doesn't even exist? Obviously, Dr. Effendi's observations in the Hikayat Hang Tuah, that's based on a legend, but Shu Fen from NParks, she has no idea whether such a crocodile existed and where to find it. So obviously there's this element of, what's the truth there? One thing's for sure, if someone saw it, there would definitely be reports of it. So that's where I'm going to look. I'm Elliott, an environmental studies undergraduate with a passion for wildlife photography. I'm on a quest to look for a white crocodile, rumoured to have been seen by many, but never captured on camera. So far, I've hit a couple of dead ends, and I'm not sure if it even exists. If it does, it might be a descendant of one that was recorded centuries ago, and it might have left its home in the mangroves. Maybe the newspaper archives can help me track it down. A unique creature like this must have made the headlines. So this article is from the 1930s called Katong's Road Crocodile, and it's believed to be responsible for the disappearance of dogs in the Grove Estate area. I think it's very interesting and kind of funny that it's been just snatching dogs. And it says the residents are getting concerned that it might start going for bigger prey, so obviously humans. Up till as late as the 1960s, crocodiles seemed to be popping up in random places across the city. Chinese man being bitten by a crocodile, crocodile crossing Thomson Road. They even showed up at vacation spots like this. Members of the swimming club will be interested to hear that a large crocodile described as a 14-footer was seen in the harbour yesterday. I imagine this crocodile might have simply been lost, searching for a home in a place that no longer looked familiar. Where were the trees and riverbanks? And with one wrong turn, it would accidentally find itself in swimming spots like this, and wonder why people are running away from it. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it would slither away from the chaos it didn't know it caused. Jokes aside, all of these were probably ordinary crocodiles, since there was no mention of the colour. Then I see something that worries me. What jumps out to me is that this guy in the middle is a Chinese man, but he's dressed up like a British hunter. So this is probably in the colonial heydays. And they all seem pretty happy that they've shot this big animal. So yeah, probably not as well respected as they were in the Hikayat Hang Tuah. I have a bad feeling that the white crocodile might have ended up like this poor fellow. But something gets my hopes up. So this is an article from 1960. So it says that there was a black crocodile that appeared in Punggol, but then a few days later it returned with a new one which was white in colour, but the same size as the other one. Very happy that I found at least one pretty good evidence that such a crocodile existed. What's even better is that crocodiles can live up to 70 years. So the Punggol white crocodile might still be around today. But it also got me a bit concerned about what could have happened to this white crocodile because we see so many instances of trophy hunting. I need to know if our crocodile friend ended up as yet another hunting trophy. If it did, it must be on display somewhere. So I head to the Lee Kong Chian Natural History Museum, which holds plenty of donated hunting specimens.
So this is one of the specimens that have been donated to us. This one's Kaiser.
Kate is responsible for restoring many of the museum's specimens. Looking at these stuffed animals, I dread her response to my first question. So Kate, has the museum received any specimens of a white crocodile, especially from the 1960s?
There's never been any record of white crocodiles being donated to the museum.
Oh yeah. That's a good sign. But Kate says that doesn't mean the white crocodile that was spotted in Punggol wasn't hunted down like the ones we see here.
So the oldest one that we have on display is from 1887.
Right,
that was shot in the Serangoon River by George P. Owen. This is him with a tiger that he shot as well.
Yeah. Were they trophy hunts?
The wild ones were getting in the way of progress on the island, but they also shot them for trophies too, because at the time they're considered exotic.
Right.
Especially if it was a white one, it would have been a really big deal as a trophy, because they're quite rare.
Interesting. But even if the white crocodile did survive these hunts, Kate warns me there's a chance it suffered a fate far worse than death.
There was a huge trade of crocodile skins.
Oh really?
This is an image of an early crocodile farm.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of crocodiles in there.
Crocodiles.
These are samples of crocodile skin. This part is from the belly.
For handbags?
Yeah, they would use that for handbags.
Kate tells me that farms like these probably started out by catching wild crocodiles and breeding them. This terrible trade stretched from the colonial era right up to the 80s. In fact, these farms got so rich that they became a favourite target for robbers. I can imagine a group of crocodile farmers making their way to the river to hunt down the Pongo white crocodile and sell its skin for big money. But if I did catch it, I would definitely brag about it. And yet, no such article of its capture exists. And it is not here in the museum either. So is there a chance that the Pongo white crocodile made it out alive?
It could be. Crocodiles are quite elusive. Crocodiles don't really have a geopolitical boundary or the idea of that. They'll go where's best for them. It might have even left what we call Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad. I'm a bit disappointed because I don't think there's a high possibility that the white crocodile can be found. It must have been a pretty big crocodile, and big crocodiles need a large habitat and a lot of food. So because of all our development and the intense pressures from the crocodile farms and hunting, it definitely could have swam away. So the photos I'm looking at are photos that I've taken at the museum with Kate. These are really huge and powerful creatures, but they really were quite persecuted, which is really quite sad. She doesn't think that the white crocodile can still be found in Singapore, probably swam off somewhere else. But I'm not very discouraged. I'm willing to push on. If there's one thing that wildlife photography taught me, it is patience and persistence. What if it didn't swim away after all, and is hiding right under our noses all this time? I'm a wildlife photographer, and for my next project, I want to photograph the Pongo white crocodile that was last seen in 1960. But there's a chance that it might no longer be in Singapore. Despite the odds, I still want to make one last attempt to look for it. And so I returned to Sungai Buloh, one of Singapore's largest surviving mangroves, and a very popular hangout spot for crocodiles.
Mangroves are awesome. It's such a great and unique ecosystem.
I seek out Dan, a mangrove restoration specialist who spends so much time here he knows every nook and cranny like the back of his hand. He is definitely my last best shot at tracking down the white crocodile. From your years of experience, have you perhaps come across a white crocodile or a light-coloured crocodile?
Well, I've certainly seen lots of snakes. Seen some crocodiles. I'm yet to see a white crocodile though.
Okay. So it looks like the white crocodile might have really swum away. But on the bright side, Dan reveals that there's greater protection for mangroves in Singapore today. And that means a healthier home for the crocodiles that are still here.
We have some really nice mangroves all over Singapore, mostly along the north coast. We can take a look.
All right.
And I'll show you.
Sure.
So we are just here in Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve, and there's mangrove that goes all along the west coast.
Okay.
And then if we go to the northeast,
That's Ubin.
particularly around Pulau Ubin, and then also Pulau Tekong has some really old mangroves as well. Now that's the existing mangrove, but there are some patches of restored mangroves. In the 1970s and 80s, a couple of different patches you can see on this map were restored in Pasir Ris, and then more recently we're starting to think about mangrove restoration on Pulau Ubin.
Okay. What makes a mangrove restoration successful?
The most successful restoration projects work with and not against nature.
Okay.
So we have mangrove propagules, such as these here.
All right.
These are the seeds of the mangroves that have germinated and then dropped off the tree. And these are the first things that we would either plant or would naturally help to regenerate a restoration project. And these have quite specific requirements for the sort of conditions that they can grow in. So what we have to do is try and revert the environment back to what it used to be before we disturbed it, so that these propagules will have the best chance of survival.
All that hard work seems to be paying off. Dan shares that since the 1980s, restored mangrove forests have expanded by at least 14.6 hectares. That's the size of 20 football fields.
So we have quite a fragmented coastline, and mangrove restoration helps us to restore some of the key stepping stones for mobile animals such as crocodiles to be able to go between different mangrove patches along our coast. It's really great to be part of the community of people that are working to protect mangroves and also the wildlife.
And what I find most interesting was the different mangrove restoration techniques and how much passion it takes to figure out different strategies to help them grow. Dan's work's very important in ensuring that the crocodiles have a healthy habitat to live in. Without the habitat, they wouldn't be around. I've always believed that humans and animals can coexist. It's just we need to learn how and really accept them as a part of this world. I don't know if I'll ever see the Punggol white crocodile, but maybe there's a bigger story that I can tell. The story of crocodiles in Singapore and how they have defied the odds to find a happy home here, like this one. I've seen crocodiles before, but never one this small. You can see how young it is even in its behavior. People are walking by, it's just lying there, doesn't really care because maybe it doesn't even know much better. All this while we've been looking at dead crocodiles from the past, stuffed crocodiles. For me, these encounters are really, really encouraging. When I see such a young, cool predator living very comfortably in the natural environment, it's great because it means that everything else here is healthy. We're doing a good job of protecting them, and hopefully I have many more of these encounters in the years to come. This journey is going to stay with me for a long time. I was a bit disappointed that I haven't found the white crocodile, but I definitely learned a lot more about crocodiles in general in Singapore, and I would really like to share this experience with other Singaporeans through a series of photos that I've taken on this journey. This photo essay basically documents the history of crocodiles in Singapore, but uses the urban legend of the white crocodile as an overarching theme. As the fates and lives of Singaporeans changed, the fates and lives of crocodiles also changed. So as we developed and the country got richer economically, these crocodiles also, their lives changed. What I hope to do is to help people realize that these animals are as much a part of Singapore as we are, and that we need to respect as well as appreciate their presence here. I secretly hope that when the conditions are right, when the habitat is healthy and large enough, that this majestic white crocodile returns to Singapore and we can all enjoy and appreciate the sight of such a beautiful animal right here in this garden city.